Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Sermon on the Mount podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Howe. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about discernment and what it means to have discernment in your life, like in the areas of what you take in and what you're listening to, what you're watching, and just all that sort of stuff. So I pray that you guys have been having a great day, great week so far. Let's just jump right into it. So what inspired me to do this episode right now is earlier this track season. I should have made this episode a long time ago, but I didn't. And now it's been brought back up to have me do it. I was watching this show called Invincible. You guys have probably definitely heard about it. It's based on a comic book series, and it got turned into a television show too on Prime Video. And so I was watching it, and it's not the best show, like for younger kids, maturity wise. Has a lot of vulgar language in it. It had gore in it, but I kept on watching it anyways. I was like, it's just a show, like, it doesn't really mean anything by it, like, it's fake, it's not real. But then I got to season 4, episode 4, and I felt like this huge, like, spiritual burden on me. I'm like, no, this doesn't sit right with me. And it was this episode, Mark got summoned to hell, pretty much, to help Satan. And I was like, what? And even Mark was like, why would I help Satan? And he said, aren't they the bad guys? Like, aren't Satan and the demons the bad guys? And then Damien Darkblood, which is pretty much the son of Satan, he said, like, don't let surface dwellers myths, like, keep you from doing this stuff. He's like, Satan's the reason you're here and everything. And then later, when they were going out throughout the episode, Mark asked, so if this is hell and there's a hell, does that mean there's heaven? And Damien Darkblood's like, no heaven that we know of, only hell and all these things. And he's like, saying that heaven wasn't real and that it was made up and all in people's minds, and that it's a good thing that hell exists and everything. And I was just thinking, like, man, I was really watching this show for that long, and then it straight up says this, like, they put it in front of your face, and some people just still accept it, and they're like, alright, keep going. Like, nah. As a Christian, I was like, no, I can't watch this anymore. And so I decided to, like, clip the pieces and then post and talk about it later. And it just helped and inspired me to make this video. It was just a really crazy episode to go through. Just, I don't know. It takes a different level of discernment to be able to, like, pause and just say, like, whoa, like, this isn't right. Like, I shouldn't be watching this. A lot of people, like, continue to go on again and just watch through this stuff, but they really don't, like, know how much it affects them. Like, the words that people say and the words that are said, and they hear them, and something happens in their subconscious, like if you spend time listening to a bunch of vulgar music, you might develop the habit of, like, subconsciously thinking, like, that music over and over again, even if you're not directly thinking about it, or, like, you develop this habit to say bad words or bad things or think bad thoughts. It could all be inspired from this stuff. And so it's important to filter what you take in, because it could help affect what comes out. And so it's important to focus on the good things, the things that matter, and the things that build up, and not the things that tear down. And so there's a verse in Matthew 5 29, it reads, "If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell." And so it's talking about here, like if something causes you to sin and something stirs you to go in that wrong direction, like cut it off directly. Don't be like all surface level about it and be like, oh, I can try to like circumnavigate my way around this because I have it in my willpower not to. No, cut it off at the root, say no, and keep on going. Bring it back to God, talk to Him about it, and cut it off. Because if you let something take root for that long, then like it's going to have some influence on you in your life. And so what do you want to have influence you in your life? Do you want it to be things that constrict you and bind you, like these sinful and lustful things? Or do you want to have things that flourish throughout your life and are rooted in love and joy and are fruitful and multiply to others around you in your life and point back to God? And just like the things that you watch too, people often don't realize the things that they watch can have such an impact on their minds, like watching pornography or things like in lustful episodes or lustful movies, like watching Love Island too. Like it promotes these ideologies that like what's on the outside is most important, and promotes like sex before marriage and all these things, and that it's become normalized and people are just like numb to it or just accept it and they're like, okay, this is normal. But no, it goes outside the boundaries of marriage and outside of the boundaries and the not like the code, but how we were designed to be in Christ. That's why Jesus Christ came down and lived a perfect life and died for us in our place so that we may follow after Him, because we do not have the strength to do it by ourselves. We were not designed to take on our own flesh by ourselves. We are always meant to rely on Jesus, because if you take a tree out of the roots in the soil, it's going to die. If you take a fish out of water, it's going to die. And if you take us out of Christ, we die, because He is life, and anything that is not in Him is dead. And so it's important to focus on Christ and have that level of discernment. The more you focus on Him, the more you develop these habits, and the more you start to be fruitful in your life and multiply, because He is the root of life, and it doesn't just stay with you. You don't keep it just to yourself. It flows into everything else around you, so more people can see the evidence of God in your life and the evidence of His love and the evidence of His goodness, because Jesus Christ died for all, not just for you. And yeah, I don't know why I just paused there, but I was going to talk about earlier, before Matthew 5:27, there's a few verses, Matthew 5, chapter 13 through 16. "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." And so we were created with a certain design and with a purpose to be the light of the world. And again, we're meant to shine God's light before others, and we can't truly love others we can't truly love others if we're not focused on God Himself, because God is love. We can't truly have life apart from God, because God is life. And so God may put us through these situations. God may give us these platforms. God may give us these opportunities not to benefit ourselves, but to help spread His light and His love to those around us. And we may find some benefit in it because The true benefit is knowing God and knowing His love and seeing that love and joy be spread to others. And that's truly the greatest thing that you could ever see in your life. And it's just truly amazing, to be honest. Going back to like all these things that may hinder you or may try to put a bushel on your light. If these things, like, say again, the Invincible show, I found it like enjoyable to watch and all these things, but it promoted sex before marriage too, and like LGBTQ. Nothing against the people, hate the sin though. That's important. People like to divide between one and another because of things they do, but at the end of the day, we're all still people, and we're all made in the image of God. Even though some people don't believe in God or trust in God or follow God, they're still created by Him, and they still have a purpose. And so even just shining God's light and love to them in the things that you do and the things that you say and speak, even just maybe sharing a Bible verse with them, even if they disagree, the seed's planted and the light was shown. But you don't always have to force it down people's throats. It can be in the way that you approach them. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink, But pray for one another and pray to God when you're faced with these things. It's super hard too. I say, it may sound like I say this lightly, but like I say this with full and heavy heart, like prayer matters. And I fall short of it a lot. I fall short of taking stuff back to God, especially when I'm tempted with these things. And then I fall short and I'm like, man, it's really like all my fault. But I don't have to carry it alone because I know that God's with me and I can go back to Him. But that still doesn't give me license to sin and do whatever I want. Like, I gotta have some discipline too and take it back to God. But I can't really learn discipline if I'm not focused on God, because He's my Father and He disciplines me if I allow Him. But at the same time, you have to be obedient. He's not going to put you on a leash all the time, but He will be with you and will be by you if you let Him, and let Him into your heart and focus on Him and accept Him. But going back to all these things, like if you're faced with temptation through music and having this level of like discernment of, okay, like analyzing these lyrics, like these are dirty, these are bad, like it could have this bad influence on my life. Like even just the things you eat too, it shows like the things that you eat and take in could like mess up your gut health, and then these things try to come out and it causes like acne. Or at the same time, like if you try to take in all these things and it festers in your mind and in your soul and spirit, then it might come out in the things that you do, say, and speak. And so it's just important to take these things back to God, to cut these things off at the root, and to just pray. And it's better to do it for one another. It's better to do it in a group, because by yourself, that's when the enemy can attack you, when you're all by yourself, when you're tired, when it's nighttime and you're all alone. But keep on moving in the Spirit, keep on moving, stay in the Word, because the enemy has a hard time hitting a moving target. So that's why the Word is alive and active. And the Word is alive and active in everything. I mean, He created the world. He hasn't changed throughout time. And Jesus is the Word and the Word is God. It says so in John 1. Look it up. But if we stay in God and stay in the Word, bring it back to God in all things, then it will be good. Because in God there is peace, in God there is love, in God there is hope. And so, bringing it back to God in all things is the most important thing. And being able to recognize these things is important. It is a gift to it and a blessing. And so, as As long as you wake up every day, just know you have a purpose, and just know you were designed for something greater than yourself. And remember that the temptation's always going to be there, but what happens when you are tempted matters most. Are you going to fall into that temptation and succumb to it, or are you going to get down on your knees and pray and give it to God and take a step forward and then take another step forward and focus on Him instead of all the storms around you? Because that's what matters most, is what you do when you're tempted, and having that level of discernment and being able to cut it off with God's help and not our help, not our own strength but His. So thank you guys for listening to this podcast episode. Pray that you learned something from it. Please don't mind sharing if you want to, or if you think someone else can benefit from this too, please share with them. Continue to walk in the Spirit and shine God's light and love with you throughout this day and this week. Pray that it continues to go well for you. May God be with you and bless you. Amen.